Hello everyone, welcome to my video on highway and traffic engineering. As you may have known, this video is specially designed and edited for my diploma students who are taking diploma in civil engineering. Now let's begin with Chapter 1, Introduction to Highway and Traffic. For your information, this topic is divided into 3 parts, which are, the first part is the history of highway construction and road laws and acts. The second part is the concept of traffic, highway, and road laws and acts in Malaysia. And part 3 is the application of road laws and acts of traffic and transportation. Take a look at the picture. That is a picture of the famous Roman roads. So for this first part, we are going to be discussing about the history of highway construction and road laws and acts. So we have to know where it all began to get started so we can be more interested and passionate in our highway and traffic engineering journey. Now let's see. Traffic is generally, so first of all, we are going to be able to define what is traffic. Traffic is defined as the movement of vehicles, ships, persons, etc. in an area along a street, through an air lane, or over a water route. Traffic also includes all the activities such as transportation and trades of goods for various purposes. Did you know that the word traffic originally meant trade, as it still does, and comes from the old Italian verb trafficare and noun traffico? Now that we have learned about what traffic means, let us proceed to what traffic engineering means. Traffic engineering is a branch of civil engineering that uses engineering techniques to achieve the safe and efficient movement of people and goods on roadways. It focuses mainly on the research for safe and efficient traffic flow, such as the road geometry, sidewalks, and also crosswalks, segregated cycle facilities, shared lane marking, traffic signs, road surface markings, and also traffic lights. Traffic engineering, mainly, it deals with the functional part of the transportation system, well, except for the infrastructures provided. Now let's see what are the construction structures that are used in transportation. So as we all know, that transportation is a part of structural and infrastructural development of a country. The following are some of the structures used in transportation. We have road and expressways, railways, tunnels, bridges and overpasses, ports and jetties, airports, and public transport. Do you think you can name more other structures used in transportations besides these? Now let's proceed to the acts related to roads in Malaysia. So the Road Transport Act 1976 and the Road Transport Act 1987, the Environmental Quality Act 1974, Urban and Rural Planning Act 1976, Local Government Act 1976, and also Federal Territory Act 1973 are the acts related to roads in our country. Now let's see at the history of highway and road construction, so we can learn where it all began. Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah, that's right. The oldest constructed roads discovered to date are in former Mesopotamia, now known as Iraq. These stone-paved streets date back to about 4000 before Christ in the Mesopotamian cities of Ur and Babylon. Here's a little photograph to give you a little picture of how roads used to look like. Now let's take a look at Roman roads. The Roman road system spanned more than 400,000 kilometers of a network of roads, including over 80,500 kilometers of paved roads. When Rome reached the height of its power, no fewer than 29 great military highways radiated from the city. Hills were cut through and deep ravines filled in. Roman roads were physical infrastructure, which was the main symbol of development of the Roman state. They were built around 500 before Christ through the expansion and consolidation of the Roman Republic and Roman Empire. So what is the main purpose of roads back then? Of course, it was for the movement of armies, officials, and civilians. Other uses of roadways were for inland and carriage of communication and trade goods. Now, this is a diagram or a cross-section of a typical Roman road. As you can see, there are 4 layers of road, and which we are still applying to our modern roads today. So the laws of the 12 tables, dated to approximately 450 before Christ, specified that a road shall be 8 feet or 2.45 meters wide were straight and 16 feet or 4.9 meters were curved. Now let's take a look at Metcalfe roads. So John Metcalfe, is the first professional road builder to emerge during the Industrial Revolution, which was around 1717 to 1810. He constructed about 180 miles of turnpike roads, mainly in the north of England from 1765. So what is a turnpike road? Turnpikes were originally toll gates that prevented passage along a road unless a toll was first paid, just like all expressways in Malaysia right now. So John Metcalfe believed that a good road should have good foundations. It should be well drained and have a smooth convex surface to allow rainwater to drain quickly. So he already thought of drainage on the roads into ditches at the side. He understood the importance of good drainage, knowing it was rain that caused most problems on the roads. Now let's look at Tresagi roads. Did I pronounce that right? I hope I did. Okay, so this is Pierre-Marie Jérôme Tresagi, was born in 1716 to 1796. He's widely credited with establishing the first scientific approach to road building in France at the same time. So first of all, the idea of a Tresagi roads, an earth foundation was excavated parallel with but about 10 inches below the finished surface on the road. This was convex in cross-section to encourage water to drain off, similar to the Roman roads concept. Next, large stones were laid on edge and any protruding pieces on their upper edges broken off to leave an even surface. This stone foundation was covered with a second course of smaller rounded stones. And finally, a third layer of hard broken stone about the size of walnuts was spread by a shovel to produce the surface layer. This system was used continuously in France from 1775 until 1820, where the country changed to the cheaper macadam method that we all famously know today. Now let's look at Telford roads. So this is Thomas Telford, who was born in 1757 to 1834. He made substantial advantages in the engineering of new roads and the construction of bridges. His method of road building involved the digging of a large trench in which a foundation of heavy rock was set, as you can see in the diagram. Thomas Telford also designed his road so that they sloped downwards from the center, in which we call cambering. This allows drainage to take place, which is a major improvement on the work of Tresagi. And finally, let's take a look at macadam roads. So this is John Loudon Macadam, who was born in 1756 to 1836. So macadam developed an inexpensive paving material of soil and stone aggregate known as macadam. He discovered that massive foundations of rock upon rock were unnecessary and asserted that native soil alone, which we call subgrade today, would support the road and traffic upon it, as long as it was covered by a road crust that would protect the soil. So his idea is basically to rely on the strength of the subgrade before adding layers and layers just for the finishing on the surface of the subgrade, in which we call the modern roads. So take a look at this diagram. Macadam observed that many of the cobblestone roads in the United Kingdom would improve if angular aggregate was piled instead of using compacted subgrade. This type of road structure would be able to improve drainage of runoff water. The aggregate was applied into 2 layers, each 2 inches thick, totaling at a depth of 8 inches. So this is a summary of the history of road construction as I have explained earlier. So you can look at the first picture, Roman pavement in section showing local stone wearing coarse, which is blue in color, cambered hard filling green, Roman concrete yellow, waterproof layer of stones which is brown in color, compacted earth footing red, retaining stones A, and drainage ditch B. 18th century French engineer Pierre Tresagui is credited with the first modern pavement design. Its 3 to 1/4 inch surface of small stones, which is blue in color, covers a 6 to 3/4 inch course of large stone yellow, which is colored in yellow, resting on a foundation of heavy stone placed on a cambered footing. So his idea is to camber from the subgrade above, towards above. Next is a road pavement design by British engineer Thomas Telford. Its 2-inch thick gravel wearing surface, which is blue in color, rests on 2 layers of 2.5 stones, forming a base course 20 inches deep in the middle. It rests on 6 to 3/4 inches of heavy stones. So as you can see, it was at Thomas Telford that we begin to have a base and also a sub-base for roads. And lastly is Macadam's road pavement. It was a bit simpler than some other versions, but very effective. It comprises of 3 layers. The first is the wearing surface, and that is the base course, and also the foundation or the footing, which is red in color. It is also resting on a footing of compacted cambered earth. So this is the history of road construction in comparison. Now let's move forward to road development in Malaysia. So in our beloved country, Malaysia, road construction has begun since before independence. So before 1957, there's always been a road system linking Johor Bahru in the south with Kangar in the north and Kota Baru in the east coast, connecting main cities between the other cities. So after the country gained independence in 1957, efforts to improve the road system has been done properly and through the rapid development planning, especially Malaysia Plan, or we call it Rancangan Malaysia, every 5 years, which was launched by the federal government. So here's a fun fact. So we have at least 61,000 kilometers of state roads. We have at least 18,000 federal roads, and we have at least 1.8 kilometers tolled highways. So in total, Malaysian government has at least 82,000 kilometers length of road overall. Maybe more, because this fact was a few years back. So now we have reached the second part of this first topic. So let's learn about the concept of traffic, highway and road laws and acts in Malaysia. So these are the category of highways in Malaysia. We have the federal road and also the state roads. So what is the federal roads? Federal roads are all the roads declared under the Federal Roads Ordinance 1959. So there are 4 road categories under federal roads. The first one is toll expressways, national highways. Third one is regional road schemes and also minor roads. And these are the general description and also the responsible authority of each of these roads. And what is state roads? So state roads comprises of the primary roads providing intra-state travel between district administrative centers. Okay, other roads included in this category are the urban collector road under the municipalities and other minor roads within the villages and the rural inhabited areas under the district offices. So we have 6 types of road under this category, which is the roads within federal territories, the primary roads, secondary roads, minor roads, urban collector roads, and also the local streets. So these are the general description for each road and also who is responsible for maintenance of each of these roads. So as you can see, it varies between city halls and state public work departments, district officers, and also respective local authorities. So let us move on to the agencies involved in traffic and road management in Malaysia. So we have the Department of Prime Minister, the Economy Planning Unit, whose role is to develop plans, control of implementation, and also fundings of road management. Then we have the Urban and Rural Planning Department, whose role is for urban and regional planning. And next, we have the Ministry of Public Enterprises, whose role is for transportation licensing, including for buses. And then we have the Ministry of Public Works, whose role is for transport planning and road designs, construction, and also maintenance. And then we have the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Environment, whose role is for environmental issues such as dust, smoke, lead content, and noise. And we have the Ministry of Domestic Affairs, whose role is for road safety and law enforcement. So these are the agencies involved in traffic and road management in Malaysia. So this is the connection between all the government agencies involved in the highway management. So we have the Department of Prime Minister moving to the Economic Planning Unit and also the implementation of Coordination Unit. Okay, split into the Ministry of Public Works, Ministry of Transportation, Domestic Affairs, Public Enterprises, Ministry of Science, Technology, Environment, and also Housing and Local Government. This will change according to the political condition in Malaysia for sure. So under the Ministry of Public Works, which is the main agency for road management in Malaysia, we have the Department of Public Works, the Malaysian Highway Authority, which is divided into the road planning section and also the road transport department. And under the Ministry of Domestic Affairs, we have the State Police, Traffic Unit, Road Safety Council. And the rest is under the other ministries. Now, what is the importance of the introduction of acts related to roads? All you have to do is just imagine a country that has no laws or enforcements, okay, no laws or act enforcements. So the first important why acts are introduced as related to roads is to protect third parties against risks arising from motorized vehicles and for coordination and control of means and facilities for transport, to control of means and facilities for road construction, for protection for the environment and public health, and also for justice for victims of transportation abuse. So these are not the only 5 importance of acts related to roads. Okay, you may do your own research or you may just understand why it is very important to have laws in Malaysia based on your experience and knowledge of the current situations in Malaysia. So the enforcement of an act or legislation is to protect the public safety, obviously, and health, and to provide an efficient transportation system in Malaysia. Observation of compliance are conducted by agencies to identify the important issues of traffic law enforcement in the country, to examine traditional and innovative enforcement approaches and tools, and assess their potential to improve compliance for increased safety on roads. So, which has led us to the third part of this topic, which is the application of road laws and acts of traffic and transportation. So here you can see the 3 acts that we will be discussing under this topic. The first one is the Environmental Quality Act 1974. The second one is the Road Transport Act 1987, Act 333, and also the rules. And the third one is Road Transport Act 1987, Act 333 for commercial vehicles and licensing boards. So these are three of the examples of the laws and acts of traffic and transportation in our country. So, as for the EQA 1974, it is an act related to the prevention, the abatement, control of pollution, and the enhancement of the environment, and for purposes connected therewith. So, the date of the royal assent is 8 March 1974, and it was gazetted on 14th March 1974. So, why is it important for us to understand Environment Quality Acts? You can see in these pictures. So, every vehicle emits pollution, emits carbon monoxide. So, for the purpose of controlling the emission, we have to refer to this act. Okay, as you can see here, and probably can read yourself. So, all the rules, the fine amount are all described in this EQA. Okay, not only just for air pollution, but also for noise pollution too. Okay, so now why don't you all try and answer all these questions. First, define traffic in terms of engineering. 2, name and briefly describe 5 structures in transportation. 3, with the help of diagrams, try and explain the history of road construction from Roman roads to modern roads. 4, draw a flowchart of the history of law and acts related to transportation in Malaysia. And 5, using a table, explain the highway and road categories in Malaysia. 6, explain the roles of 5 government agencies in Malaysian transportation. 7, identify the importance of the introduction of acts related to roads. And lastly, 8, explain the relationship of the EQA 1974 to traffic and transportation in Malaysia. So that's all for topic 1. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a lot from this video. So good luck. Bye-bye.